It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain. Once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object, there was none. Passion, there was none. I loved my roommate. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold, I had no desire. I think it was his hat. Yes, it was this. It had the eyes of a minion. 2 pale white eyes with goggles over them. Whenever they fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of that old hat, and thus rid myself of the eyes forever. Now this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded. With what caution, and with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. Upon the night of my deed, I was pervasively cautious in opening this door. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there I was, opening the door, little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I finally had my head in when my thumb slipped upon the door's knob, and my roommate sprang up in bed crying out, "Who's there?" I quickly averted my eyes. Only after I had waited a long time, very patiently, I resolved to straighten my gaze back to the eyes of the minion. They were open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon them. I saw them with perfect distinctness, all of dull white, with those hideous goggles over them that chilled the very marrow in my bones. The hideous hat hour had come. With a quick thrust, I quietly leaped into the room. In an instant, I snatched the hat from his head and dashed out of his room in a blur. Methodically, inexorably, the evil hat was dead. The eyes would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the remains. Silently, I unzipped the very same roommate's beanbag and deposited all within the fillings. After re-zipping, I gave a hearty shuffling of the bag. So cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything misplaced. There was nothing to vacuum out, not a single thread left behind. I had been too wary for that. My hands had caught all. Aha! Suddenly, there came a knocking at the door. I went to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered our resident assistant, who, with perfect suavity, made mention of his reason for visiting at this hour. A cacophonous coughing chorus had been heard by a neighbor during the night, and he, the R.A., had been deputed to investigate the claims. I smiled, for what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The coughing, I said, was my own. My roommate, I mentioned, was long asleep. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I bade him seat in our main room while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, took mine own seat upon the very spot which reposed the remains of my victim. The R.A. was satisfied. My manner had convinced him. I was singularly at ease. He sat, and while I answered cheerily, we chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished him gone. My head ached, and I fancied a muttering in my ears. No doubt, I now grew very pale, but I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a high, splitting, irregular sound, much such a sound as a kettle makes when boiling over. I gasped for breath, and yet the R.A. heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. Why would he not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observations of the man, but the noise steadily increased. Oh God! What could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, and still the man chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible he heard not? Almighty God! No! He heard! He suspected! He knew! He was making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, hark! Louder! 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 Villain, I shrieked! Dissemble no more! I admit the deed! Tear up the bag! Here! Here! It is the retching of the hideous minion!
Banana?
This looks so creepy. Do a regular smile. And hold like a big smile. A big smile, you fuck. Make your lip you uptick, fucker. Okay, go. Go. I mean, like, really, I couldn't talk. Here we go.